The air recycling system on Nexus Prime hummed quietly as Jake Morrison crawled through the maintenance shaft. His knees scraped against the metal floor and sweat dripped from his forehead despite the cool temperature. He had been working on this space station for 6 months now, fixing pipes and cleaning air filters. Nobody knew he was human. The holographic device on his wrist made him look like a Zelrani. The Zelrani were tall, thin aliens with gray skin and large black eyes. Jake had studied their movements for weeks before coming here. He walked like them, talked like them, and even ate their food without showing disgust. It was not easy, but it kept him alive. Jake stopped crawling when he heard voices coming from below. He pressed his ear against the metal floor. The voices were speaking in Galactic Standard, the common language used by all the alien species in this part of the galaxy. Jake had learned it years ago when Earth first made contact with other worlds. The voices were coming from Conference Room 7. Jake had never been inside that room. It was restricted to high-ranking officials only. His fake identification card would not open those doors. But the maintenance shafts went everywhere on the station, including above the conference rooms. Jake pulled out his datapad and activated the recording function. He had been sent here to gather intelligence about the alien species that made up the Galactic Council. Earth wanted to know what these aliens thought about humans and whether they could be trusted. So far, Jake had learned very little. Most of the aliens he worked with were just regular workers like himself. They complained about their jobs and worried about their families. They were not so different from humans in many ways, but now he had found something interesting. The voices below belonged to important people. Jake could tell by the way they spoke. They used formal language and big words. These were the decision-makers. Jake found a loose panel in the floor of the maintenance shaft. He carefully removed the screws with his multi-tool. The panel came away with a soft click. Now he could see down into the conference room below. The room was large and circular. A round table sat in the center with 12 chairs around it. Strange alien beings sat in most of the chairs. Jake recognized some of the species from his training files, but others were new to him. At the head of the table sat a creature that looked like a giant insect. It had 4 arms and compound eyes that reflected the room's lights. This was High Commander Vexstar of the Hegemony. Jake had seen his picture in the intelligence files. The Hegemony controlled a large part of this galaxy and had the strongest military force. To the left of Vexstar sat a being that looked like it was made of flowing water. Its body constantly shifted and changed shape. This had to be one of the depth dwellers. They lived in the deep oceans of water worlds and rarely came to space stations like this one, across from the water being sat. Something that Jake could barely see. It looked like a glowing cloud of energy with sparks of light dancing inside it. The ethereals were beings of pure energy who lived in the space between stars. Jake had never seen one before. He wondered how it could sit in a chair. The 4th being that Jake could identify was sitting to the right of Vexstar. It was tall and muscular with dark red skin and sharp teeth. Scars covered its arms and face. This was one of the Khazari, the warrior race that lived for battle. They were respected throughout the galaxy for their fighting skills. Jake counted 12 beings total around the table. He did not recognize all of them, but he could tell they were all important. The way they sat and spoke showed they were used to being in charge. High Commander Vexstar raised one of his 4 arms. The room became quiet. When he spoke, his voice made a clicking sound that Jake's translation device converted to words. "Fellow council members," Vexstar said, "we gather today to discuss a matter of great importance. Our long-range scouts have been exploring the outer regions of the galaxy. They have found worlds that pose significant threats to our civilization." Jake pressed his face closer to the opening. This was exactly the kind of information Earth needed. He made sure his datapad was recording everything. "As you know," Vexstar continued, "we have identified several worlds that produce extremely dangerous predators. These creatures have evolved in environments so hostile that they have become perfect killing machines. Today we will review the most dangerous of these predators and discuss what actions we should take." The water being spoke next. Its voice sounded like waves crashing on a shore. Dr. Krillona of the Depth Dwellers has prepared a comprehensive report on these creatures. We have footage and biological data that will disturb even the bravest among. Isus. Jake felt his heart start to beat faster. Were they talking about Earth? Had they discovered that humans existed? He tried to stay calm and keep listening. The energy being that Jake assumed was an ethereal spoke without moving what might have been a mouth. Its voice came from everywhere and nowhere at once. Ambassador Zephyr agrees that these discoveries require immediate attention. Some of the predators we have found challenge everything we thought we knew about evolution and survival. The Khazari warrior leaned forward in his chair. When he spoke, his voice was deep and rough. Commander Bladesinger has seen many battles across the galaxy. But the creatures we will discuss today are unlike anything my people have ever faced. They represent a new level of threat. Jake gripped his datapad tighter. He needed to hear everything these aliens had to say. If they were planning something against Earth or other worlds, he had to get this information back to his superiors. High Commander Vexstar stood up from his chair. His compound eyes seemed to look at each council member in turn. Then let us begin, Dr. Krillona. Please present your findings on the most dangerous predators discovered in our recent surveys. The meeting was about to begin, and Jake Morrison was about to learn things that would change everything he thought he knew about humanity's place in the galaxy. Dr. Krillona water-like body rippled as she activated the holographic display in the center of the conference table. The lights in the room dimmed automatically. Jake pressed his face closer to the opening in the maintenance shaft, making sure. His datapad captured everything. The first creatures we must discuss are the Shadow Stalkers of Grim Prime, Dr. Krillona announced. Her voice carried the sound of deep ocean currents. These predators exist partially in another dimension. They can phase through solid matter at will. The holographic display showed a dark world covered in twisted black rocks. Strange shapes moved between the rocks, but they were hard to see clearly. Sometimes they appeared solid, other times they seemed to be made of smoke. Watch carefully, Dr. Krillona said as the display zoomed in on a mining facility. Jake could see alien workers moving containers of ore from the ground to transport ships. Everything looked normal until the shadows began to move. The shadow stalkers emerged from the rocks without warning. They passed through the walls of the mining facility like ghosts. Workers tried to run, but the creatures moved faster than anything Jake had ever seen. Their claws went through metal doors and protective suits as if they were made of paper. 3 mining colonies were evacuated because of these creatures, Dr. Krillona continued. A full hegemony battle fleet was sent to destroy them. The entire fleet was lost. We found the ships later, floating empty in space. Every crew member had vanished. Commander Bladesinger growled low in his throat. My warriors fought these things once. Half my squad disappeared before we could retreat. The survivors still wake up screaming. Jake felt cold sweat on his forehead. The creatures in the hologram looked like living nightmares. Their bodies were made of shifting darkness, and their eyes glowed with red light. They moved in ways that hurt to watch, bending and twisting in directions that should not be possible. The holographic display changed to show a different world. This one was covered in thick orange clouds that swirled like a hurricane. Lightning flashed constantly through the atmosphere. The Void Krakens of Titan 7, Dr. Krillona announced. These creatures live in the methane storms of gas giants. They can survive in the vacuum of space and grow to enormous sizes. The display showed something rising from the orange clouds. It looked like a massive squid, but it was larger than any building Jake had ever seen. Its tentacles were covered in spikes that glowed with blue electricity. The creature's eyes were black pools that seemed to absorb light. A research vessel was studying the upper atmosphere when this happened, Dr. Krillona said. The display showed a small ship scanning the planet's surface. Suddenly, the giant creature burst from the clouds below. Its tentacles wrapped around. The ship like rope around a toy. Jake watched in horror as the tentacles squeezed. The ship's hull began to crack and buckle. Pieces of metal broke off and floated away into space. The creature's beak, larger than the entire ship, opened to reveal rows of razor-sharp teeth. The emergency beacon lasted exactly 47 seconds, Dr. Kralena said. No survivors were found. The creature dragged the ship back down into the storms. High Commander Vextar clicked his mandibles together. Our military has standing. Orders to avoid all gas giants in that system, no exceptions. The holographic display changed again. This time it showed a research facility built into the side of a volcano. The walls were made of thick metal that glowed red from the heat outside. Inferno Station was built to study the plasma beetles, Dr. Krillina explained. These creatures can generate temperatures exceeding 3,000 degrees. They can melt through starship armor in seconds. The display showed scientists working in sealed chambers. They wore heavy protective suits and moved slowly because of the extreme heat. In the center of the chamber was a containment unit made of crystal and metal inside. The containment unit was something that looked like a giant beetle. Its shell was black with veins of glowing red running through it. The creature was the size of a house cat, but Jake could see the air around it shimmering from heat waves. The containment unit was designed to hold temperatures up to 5,000 degrees, Dr. Krillona said. The scientists thought they were safe. The display showed the beetle moving inside its prison. Suddenly, its shell began to glow brighter. The red veins became white-hot. The crystal containment unit started to crack. The facility's automatic systems detected the breach, Dr. Krillena continued. Emergency evacuation began immediately. It was not fast enough. Jake watched as the beetle broke free from its prison. The creature's body temperature spiked so high that everything around it began to melt. The metal walls of the research facility turned to liquid. The air itself caught fire. The scientists tried to run, but their protective suits could not handle the heat. One by one, they collapsed. The beetle walked through the facility, leaving a trail of melted metal and fire behind it. The entire station was destroyed in less than 10 minutes, Dr. Krillona said. The beetle escaped into the volcano and has not been seen since. The planet is now classified as forbidden. Ambassador Zephyr's energy form flickered with what might have been emotion. The ethereals refuse to approach any world with similar creatures. Even our energy forms can be disrupted. By such extreme heat? Dr. Krilluna activated another holographic display. This one showed a world covered in purple crystals. The crystals grew like trees, forming a strange forest that sparkled in the light of twin suns. The mind flayers of Psy-World, Dr. Krillena announced. These creatures can control other beings with their thoughts. They turn victims against their own kind. The display showed a team of explorers landing on the crystal world. They wore advanced suits and carried powerful weapons. Everything seemed normal as they began collecting samples from the crystal formations. Then one of the explorers stopped moving. He stood perfectly still for several seconds. When he turned around, his eyes were glowing with the same purple light as the crystals. The mind flayers do not show themselves, Dr. Krillena explained. They hide in the crystal formations and attack with pure mental force. Once they control a victim, that person becomes their weapon. Jake watched as the controlled explorer attacked his own team. He moved with inhuman speed and strength. His teammates tried to defend themselves, but they could not bring themselves to seriously hurt their friend, one by one. The other explorers fell under the creature's control. Their eyes began to glow purple. They turned their weapons on the rescue ship that had brought them to the planet. 3 different species attempted to establish research bases on Psy-World, Dr. Krillena said. All 3 expeditions turned against their own people. The planet is now under permanent quarantine. High Commander Vextar stood up from his chair. These creatures represent the worst threats we have encountered in our expansion across the galaxy. But they are not the most dangerous predators we have discovered. Jake felt his heart skip a beat. If these nightmare creatures were not the worst threats, what could be more dangerous than them? What we will discuss next, Vextar continued, will challenge everything we thought we knew about predator evolution. We have found a world that makes all of these creatures look harmless by comparison. High Commander Vexstar walked around the conference table with slow, deliberate steps. His forearms moved in rhythm with his walking, and his compound eyes reflected the light from the holographic display. Jake could see that all the council members were paying close attention. Even the energy being that was Ambassador Zephyr seemed more focused than before. "What I'm about to show you will disturb even the most experienced among us," Vexstar announced. "Our long-range scouts have discovered a world that defies all logic. A planet so hostile that it should not be able to support any life at all." Dr. Krillena activated a new holographic display. The image showed a blue and green world spinning slowly in space. Jake's heart stopped beating for a moment. He was looking at Earth, his homeworld, the planet where he had been born and raised. "This world orbits a yellow dwarf star in what our navigation systems call the Sol System," Vexstar continued. "We have designated the planet as Sol-free. Initial scans showed that it should be completely lifeless." The display zoomed in to show Earth's surface. Jake could see the continents and oceans he knew so well, but the way the aliens described his homeworld made it sound like a nightmare. "The temperature variations on this world are extreme," Dr. Krillena explained. "Parts of the planet reach temperatures that would boil the blood of most galactic species. Other parts become so cold that the very air freezes solid." Jake watched as the display showed images of Earth's deserts and polar regions. The aliens had recorded footage of Death Valley and the Antarctic ice sheets. To them, these were examples of impossible living conditions. "The atmospheric composition is highly toxic," Dr. Krillena continued. "The air contains large amounts of oxygen, which is poisonous to most life forms. The planet also experiences violent weather patterns that would destroy any normal ecosystem." The display showed hurricanes, tornadoes, and lightning storms. Jake had lived through several of these storms during his childhood. To him, they were just part of normal weather. But the aliens in the conference room were looking at the images with obvious fear. "Commander," Bladesinger leaned forward in his chair, "my people are warriors. We have fought on 100 different worlds. But even we would struggle to survive on a planet like this." The holographic display changed to show underwater footage. Jake recognized the images as coming from Earth's oceans. The aliens had somehow recorded footage of sharks, whales, and other marine life. "The water on this world is filled with predators," Dr. Krillena said. "Creatures that can detect electrical fields from vast distances. Others that can survive at crushing depths where the pressure would destroy our strongest spacecraft." Jake watched as the display showed a great white shark attacking a seal. The footage was captured from underwater, and the shark's movements looked incredibly fast and powerful. The council members made sounds of disgust and fear. "These ocean predators have evolved senses that surpass our most advanced technology," Dr. Krillena explained. "They can detect a single drop of blood in an ocean of water. They can sense the heartbeat of prey from miles away." The display switched to show land-based footage. Jake saw polar bears hunting seals in the Arctic. To him, it was just nature. Documentaries. But the aliens were watching apex predators in action. "The land predators are even more dangerous," Dr. Krillena said. "They have evolved to survive in environments that would kill most galactic citizens instantly. This creature can survive temperatures that would freeze our blood solid." The polar bear footage showed the animal swimming through ice-cold water and walking across frozen ground. The aliens watched with amazement as the bear caught fish with its bare claws. "The diversity of predators on this world is unlike anything we have seen," Dr. Krillena continued. "Every environment has produced its own perfect killing machine." The display showed footage of lions hunting in Africa, wolves hunting in packs, and venomous snakes striking at prey. Each animal was presented as an example of impossible evolution. "These creatures have developed toxins that can kill beings much larger than themselves," Dr. Krillena explained as the display showed a cobra Others have evolved to hunt in coordinated groups, using tactics that rival military operations. Jake realized that the aliens were seeing Earth's wildlife through the lens of their own evolution. Most galactic species had evolved from prey animals. They had developed intelligence as a way to avoid predators, not to become better hunters. Ambassador Zephyr's energy form flickered with what might have been worry. The ethereals have analyzed the energy patterns from this world. The life forms there generate bioelectric fields that are stronger than anything we have recorded. The display showed footage of electric eels and other creatures that use electricity. To the aliens, these were examples of biological weapons that should not exist. The planet's gravity is also unusual, Dr. Krillina added. It is much stronger than most worlds that support life. Any creature that evolves there would be incredibly strong compared to beings from normal worlds. High Commander Vexstar stopped, walking and faced the council. But all of these predators are not the main threat. Our detailed scans have revealed something far more dangerous. Jake felt his blood turn cold. What could be more dangerous than all of Earth's wildlife combined? The planet supports a species of apex predator that combines intelligence with predatory instincts, Vexstar announced. A creature that has mastered both tool use and hunting. The holographic display changed to show blurry footage of humans. Jake could see people walking, working, and living their daily lives, but the aliens were not seeing normal human activity. They were seeing predators using advanced technology. These creatures have developed space travel, Dr. Krillina said. They have the ability to leave their Deathworld and spread to other planets. The display showed images of rockets launching from Earth. Jake recognized some of the footage from news reports about space missions. But the aliens were interpreting these launches as evidence of an expanding predator species. The implications are terrifying, Vexstar continued. A species that evolved on such a hostile world would be unstoppable if it spread across the galaxy. These creatures would see every other world as an easy target. Commander Bladesinger stood up from his chair. The Khazari Military Council has already discussed this threat. If these predators leave their world, they could conquer every species in the galaxy. Jake gripped his datapad tighter. The aliens were planning something against Earth. He needed to hear everything they were going to do. We have a choice to make, High Commander Vexstar announced. We can either establish a quarantine around this system, or we can take more direct action. The room fell silent. Jake could hear his own heartbeat as he waited to learn the fate of his home world and his entire species. High Commander Vexstar returned to his seat at the head of the conference table. His compound eyes swept across the room, making sure he had everyone's attention. Jake could see the fear in the alien's body language. Even the powerful warrior. Commander Bladesinger looked nervous. Before we discuss our response to this threat, Vexstar said, you must understand the full scope of what we are facing. Dr. Krillina has prepared detailed analysis of the apex predator species on Sol 3, Dr. Krillina's water-like body rippled with what might have been excitement or fear. What we have discovered challenges everything we thought we knew about predator evolution. These creatures have abilities that should not exist. The holographic display activated again. This time it showed footage of humans running. Jake recognized it as marathon footage, probably from the Olympics. But the aliens were not seeing athletic competition. They were seeing something that terrified them. These predators can maintain pursuit for hours without stopping, Dr. Krillina explained. Our biologists calculated the energy requirements for such activity. It should be impossible for any creature to hunt this way. The display showed humans jogging through parks and running on treadmills. To Jake, it was just people exercising. But the aliens were watching with growing horror. Most predators in the galaxy use ambush tactics, Dr. Krillina continued. They hide and wait for prey to come close. These creatures do the opposite. They chase their prey until it collapses from exhaustion. Commander Bladesinger made a growling sound. The Khazari are known for our endurance in battle. But even our strongest warriors cannot run for more than 30 minutes without rest. The holographic display changed to show footage of human hunters tracking animals through forests. Jake saw indigenous peoples following animal tracks and using traditional hunting methods. The aliens were interpreting this as evidence of unstoppable predatory behavior. They can track prey across vast distances, Dr. Krillona said. They read signs that are invisible to most species. They can follow a trail for days without losing it. The display showed humans examining broken branches, footprints, and other signs of animal passage. Jake had learned similar skills during his military training, but the aliens were seeing supernatural tracking abilities. The most disturbing aspect is their tool use, Dr. Krillona continued. Most intelligent species abandon predatory behavior when they develop technology. These creatures have done the opposite. The display showed humans using weapons to hunt. Jake saw footage of people with bows, spears, and rifles. The aliens were not seeing hunting tools. They were seeing weapons designed for killing. They have weaponized fire, Dr. Krillona said, as the display showed humans cooking food over campfires. They control one of the most destructive forces in nature and use it as a tool. Jake almost laughed at the absurdity. The aliens were treating campfires as evidence of advanced weapons technology. But then he remembered that most alien species had evolved from prey animals. Fire would be terrifying to creatures whose instincts told them to flee from it. Their social structure is unlike anything we have seen, Dr. Krillona continued. They form what our scientists call pack bonds. They create emotional attachments to other members of their species. The display showed families eating dinner together and friends playing games. Jake was seeing normal human social behavior, but the aliens were interpreting it as pack hunting coordination. Pack bonding among predators is extremely rare, Dr. Krillona explained. Most predatory species are solitary or compete with each other for resources. These creatures cooperate in ways that make them incredibly dangerous. Ambassador Zephyr's energy form pulsed with agitation. The ethereals have detected something even more disturbing. These predators form emotional bonds with other species on their world. The holographic display showed humans with domesticated animals. Jake saw people walking dogs, riding horses, and playing with cats. The aliens were not seeing pets. They were seeing impossible alliances between predator species. They have formed partnerships with other apex predators, Dr. Krillona said, as the display focused on humans with dogs. This should not be possible. Predators do not cooperate across species lines. The display showed police dogs working with human officers and military dogs serving alongside soldiers. Jake understood that the aliens were seeing coordinated hunting packs made up of multiple predator species. The intelligence data is the most frightening aspect, High Commander Vexstar interjected. These creatures have developed technology while maintaining their predatory instincts. The display showed human cities, factories, and spacecraft. Jake saw the normal evidence of human civilization, but the aliens were interpreting it as proof that predators had learned to use advanced technology. They have built weapons that can destroy entire planets, Dr. Krillona said. The display showed footage of nuclear weapons tests from Earth's history. They have harnessed the power of stars and turned it into instruments of destruction. Jake felt his heart sink. The aliens had discovered humanity's nuclear capabilities. They were seeing weapons tests as evidence that humans were preparing for galactic conquest. Our intercepted communications suggest they are preparing to leave their world, Dr. Krillona continued. They have built vessels capable of traveling between star systems. The display showed space shuttles, space stations, and Mars rovers. Jake recognized footage from NASA missions and commercial space companies. But the aliens were seeing an invasion fleet preparing for launch. The threat assessment is clear, High Commander Vexstar announced. If these predators leave their world, they will spread across the galaxy like a plague. Every species we know will become their prey. Commander Bladesinger stood up from his chair. The Khazari military has run combat simulations. These predators would be unstoppable in battle. Their endurance, tool use, and pack coordination would overwhelm any defense. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Jake realized that the aliens were genuinely terrified of humanity. They saw humans as the ultimate threat to galactic civilization. "We must act before they develop faster-than-light travel," Vextar continued. "Once they spread beyond their home system, it will be too late to stop them." Dr. Krilona's body rippled with nervous energy. "The Depth Dwellers recommend immediate action. We cannot allow these predators to escape their world." Ambassador Zephyr's energy form flickered rapidly. "The Ethereals agree. The threat is too great to ignore." High Commander Vextar looked around the table at each council member. "Then we are in agreement. The Sol system must be quarantined immediately. Any vessel attempting to leave the system will be destroyed without warning." Jake felt cold terror wash over him. The aliens were planning to trap humanity on Earth and destroy any ships that tried to leave the solar system. But Commander Bladesinger was not finished speaking. "Quarantine may not be enough," the Khazari warrior said. "These predators are too dangerous to be allowed to live. We should consider more permanent solutions." The room became deathly quiet. Jake realized that the aliens were discussing the complete destruction of humanity. They were planning genocide. Because they feared what humans might become. "The decision is too important to make hastily," Vextar said after a long pause. "We will implement the quarantine immediately. Military forces will be positioned around the Sol system within the month." Jake knew he had to get this information back to Earth, but as he started to move away from the opening, he heard something that made him freeze. "There is one more thing you should know," Dr. Krilona said quietly. "Our scans suggest that some of these predators may have already left their world. There could be Sol 3 specimens living among us right now." Jake Morrison sat frozen in the maintenance shaft as Dr. Krilona's words echoed through the conference room. The aliens suspected that humans might already be living among them. His cover could be blown at any moment. But as he listened to them plan the destruction of his entire species, Jake realized he could not stay hidden any longer. The council members were discussing details of the quarantine when Jake made his decision. He carefully placed his data pad in his tool belt and positioned himself over the opening in the maintenance shaft. His heart was beating so fast he was sure the aliens below could hear it. Jake took a deep breath and dropped through the opening. He landed in the center of the conference table with surprising grace. The holographic projector shut off automatically when his feet touched the surface. The room erupted in chaos as 12 different alien species reacted to the sudden appearance of an intruder. Commander Bladesinger was the first to move. The Khazari warrior reached for his weapon with lightning speed. But Jake raised his hands in a peaceful gesture and spoke in perfect galactic standard. "Please do not shoot," Jake said calmly. "I am not here to hurt anyone." High Commander Vextar clicked his mandibles together rapidly. "Security alert. Intruder in conference room 7. All units respond immediately." Jake reached slowly for the device on his wrist. Several council members tensed as they watched his movements. With deliberate care, Jake deactivated his holographic disguise. The change was immediate and shocking. The tall, thin Zelrani appearance melted away like smoke. In its place stood a human male with brown hair and blue eyes. He was wearing the standard maintenance coveralls of a station worker. Dr. Krilona's water-like body rippled with what could only be described as terror. "Impossible," she whispered. "It is one of them." "A Sol 3 predator?" Ambassador Zephyr's energy form flickered wildly. "How did it get aboard the station? How long has it been here?" Jake stepped down from the conference table and moved slowly toward an empty chair. Every eye in the room followed his movements. "My name is Jake Morrison," he said as he sat down. "I am from the world you call Sol 3. We call it Earth, and I have been working on this station for 6 months." The revelation sent shockwaves through the room. Commander Bladesinger kept his hand on his weapon but did not draw it. "High Commander." Vextar's compound eyes reflected Jake's image dozens of times. 6 months, Vextar repeated slowly. "You have been living among us for 6 months," Jake nodded. "I have been fixing your air recyclers and cleaning your water filters." I have eaten meals with your workers and helped them solve problems. Some of them have become my friends. Dr. Kralena's body was shaking with fear. This proves everything we discussed. These predators can infiltrate our society. They can hide among us. You're right about one thing, Jake said, looking directly at Dr. Kralena. Earth did make us into predators, but you are wrong about what that means. Jake stood up slowly and walked to the center of the room. The aliens watched his every movement, ready to flee or fight at any moment. You have been studying us like we are monsters waiting to devour the galaxy, but you do not understand what you are seeing. Commander Bladesinger growled low in his throat. We have seen the evidence. Your species hunts with persistence that defies biology. You form packs and use weapons. You are the perfect killers. Jake smiled and several aliens flinched at the expression. We are killers, that part is true. But we did not evolve to hunt other intelligent species. We evolved to hunt the things that hunt others. The room fell silent as Jake's words sank in. He could see confusion in their faces as they tried to understand what he meant. Every ability you fear came from protecting our families and communities, Jake continued. We learned persistence hunting to chase down predators that threatened our children. We developed pack bonding because cooperation kept us alive. We made tools and weapons to fight creatures stronger than ourselves. Ambassador Zephyr's energy form pulsed with uncertainty. But the evidence shows your species spreading across your world, conquering and destroying. Jake shook his head. We spread across Earth because we learned to adapt to any environment. We had to survive everywhere because the things that wanted to eat us lived everywhere. High Commander Vexstar leaned forward in his chair. What about your weapons? The ones that can destroy planets? Those weapons exist because we learned that sometimes the only way to protect innocent people is to be more dangerous than the things that threaten them, Jake replied. Every war we have fought has been to stop something worse from happening. Dr. Kralena's body rippled with confusion. But your species bonds with other predators. You cooperate with creatures that should be your competition. Jake thought about his childhood dog and smiled again. We learned that former enemies can become the strongest allies. The wolves that hunted us became dogs that protect our children. We do not see cooperation as weakness, we see it as strength. The room was quiet for several long moments. Jake could see the aliens struggling to understand his words. Their entire worldview was built on the idea that predators were evil and intelligence was supposed to eliminate predatory behavior. Commander Bladesinger was the first to speak. If what you say is true, why should we believe you? How do we know this is not deception? Jake reached into his tool belt and pulled out his datapad. Because I have been recording everything you said in this meeting. I could have taken this information back to Earth and warned my people about your quarantine plans. Instead, I am here talking to you. High Commander Vexstar's mandibles clicked rapidly. Why would you reveal yourself? Why take such a risk? Because you are afraid of the wrong thing, Jake said seriously. You have been so focused on studying Earth's predators that you have not been watching the space between the stars. Jake activated his datapad and connected it to the room's holographic system. New images appeared in the center of the table. They showed long-range sensor readings from the edge of the galaxy. My people have been monitoring deep space for threats, Jake continued. 3 weeks ago, our sensors detected something moving in from the galactic rim. Something big. Something that makes every creature you have shown me today look like a harmless pet. The images showed massive dark shapes moving through space. They were too far away to see clearly, but their size was obvious from the gravitational distortions they created. We sent a probe to investigate, Jake said. It was destroyed before it could transmit detailed information. But we got enough data to know that whatever is coming will reach inhabited space within 2 years. Ambassador Zephyr's energy form flickered with what might have been fear. What are you suggesting? Jake looked around the room at each council member. I am suggesting that you need us. Humanity did not evolve to conquer the galaxy. We evolved to be the galaxy's immune system. We are the antibodies that fight off infections. Commander Bladesinger released his grip on his weapon. You're saying your species exists to fight threats like this? That is exactly what I am saying, Jake replied. Every predatory trait you fear exists because we learn to hunt the things that hunt others. And right now, something is coming that will hunt all of us. Jake's communication device suddenly activated with an incoming message. The voice that came through was clear and urgent. Morrison, this is Colonel Harris at Deep Space Command. We have a situation. Long-range sensors have detected multiple large objects accelerating toward the inner galaxy. Whatever those things are, they will reach the outer colonies in 18 months. The aliens listened to this exchange with growing alarm. High Commander Vexstar stood up from his chair. You are saying that your people have been preparing for this threat? We have been preparing our whole existence, Jake replied. Every war, every conflict, every predator we have faced has made us better at protecting others. You can quarantine Earth and destroy my species. But when those things arrive, you will wish you had made us your allies instead of your enemies. The room fell silent as the weight of Jake's words settled over the council. They had spent the meeting planning to destroy humanity. Now they were being told that humanity might be their only hope for survival.